All right, our next topic, as it says there, recursion and financial modelling. And so what we're interested in here today, as a start off, is what we call sequences. So as it says there, the sequence is a list of numbers written in succession, and a term is each number in the sequence. So some sequences, so like these ones here, for example, so that's a sequence. There's a bunch of numbers there, 1, 3, 5, 7 and 9, and each of those numbers in the sequence, as you can see, there's a pattern. All right, so that's plus 2, so here plus 2, here plus 2, and here plus 2 as well. All right, so in this case we've got a rule in this one, and the rule for this particular one, if we want to look at what the rule might be, where are we? It's very difficult to find this. It doesn't have a very good pen cursor to show you where the pen is. So the rule, for example, on this one would be something like this. Would be, so start with 1. So start with 1 and add 2. All right, to each term. All right, so for that sequence, that would be the rule. Might be a good rule, might not be a good rule, but nonetheless, it's a rule. So this process is referred to as, or is called, generating a sequence. Recursively. All right, so it's to sequence recursively. All right, because to get the next one, you move on to the next one. You do. I need to add, so I've got to take the one I've got and add. In this case, add 2 to get through to the next one. So that's called recursive when you do that. So to get each sequence, you've got to go from one term to the next. All right, so let's have a look at an example. And so here I've got an example there that we're going to use. And so let's paste that up there. I don't want it up there. I want it somewhere else. So let me drag this down. There we go. That's a bit better. So it says, write down the first 5 terms of the sequence, starting with 5, and double the number and subtract 3. All right, so term 1, I'll just use T1, equals 5. Term 2 says double the number, so 2 times 5, and then take 3. So 2 5s are 10, take 3 is 7. So then to get term 3, double the number, 2 times 7, excuse me, take 3. 2 7's 14, take 3 would be 11. Term 4, let's double that number, so 2 times 11, take 3. 22 take 3 is 19. And finally we get to term 5, which is the one that we're after. And that's 2 times 19, take 3. 2 19s are 38, take 3 is 35 is the final answer that we end up with. All right, so the sequence then is 5, 7, 11, 19, 35 is our sequence. All right, so the next thing we're looking at is what's known as recurrence relations. So recurrence relations All right, so what are recurrence relations? Well, essentially they are, as it says here, a mathematical rule used to generate the sequence. So I should put it where I want it. Right underneath that, on top of that. There we go. Alright, so it's a mathematical rule used to generate a sequence. So what do we need? So for this sequence here, what did we need? Well, first of all, we needed to know where to start. And then we needed to know what we needed to do. So there's two parts to our recurrence relation. So two parts, a starting point, often written as V0, V for value, and then the rule which links us on to the next term. So for our example we had up there before, where we started with 5, so our V0 would be equal to 5. All right, and then the rule. So to get the next term, all right, so n plus 1 here just means the next term. What did we do? Well, it said 2 times the number, or double the number, so 2 times Vn, this term, and then take 3. So n plus 1 is our next term, or the next number, next term, next number. And Vn is this term. Or this number. All right. Now your calculator has an app which we can use for this. And so what we're going to do is an example. And so the example we're going to do is this one. Here it is. So this time we're given our recurrence relation. And we've got to do something with it. So a sequence is generated by the recurrence relation and V0. So our initial term is 300, and then Vn plus 1 is 0.5n minus 9. All right. So, and it asks how many terms of the sequence are positive. All right. So there is a handout that you can stick in your books that it's called Recurrence Relations on the class pad, and it leads through this particular question. So what are we going to do here? I'm going to go now to our class pad calculator. Here we go. All right, so our class pad calculator. There's 2 pages. Here's our menu. It's 2 pages of the menu. Go to the second page of the menu, and here we've got sequence. We'll go to that, and then we've got these 2 tabs here, recursive and explicit, recursive recurrence. So this is the one we're after. All right, now the class pad here is using A, B, and C, and that just means that we can have different recurrence relations there if we want to. So in the textbook and in exams and that we use V, so V for value. All right, so in this particular one, when we come back to our thing here, n plus 1 is 0.5 Vn minus 9. So an plus 1, we're using A instead of V. All right, so what is it? It's 0.5 an or Vn. So where you get that is from this menu. So here's this menu here. So the next term is 0.5 times this term minus 9. And then we can move down. And we need to put our V0, which was 300. All right, you then got to make sure that you've got this here, this box checked up here, otherwise it's not going to do anything. And then we've got down here a table, and given our recurrence relation we've just put in up there, we can fill out that table by using the table icon. So tap on that, and there we go, we fill it out. All right, so the question asks us how many terms of the sequence were positive. So how many are positive? So when we look at here, n equals 1, n equals 2, 3, and 4 all positive, then n equals 5 goes to negative. All right, so by the looks of this, there's 4 terms there. However, we need to remember we've started with 300. Now 300's not in that list there. All right. So we need to count that as well. So there's these 4 terms plus the 300. So when we go and we look at that, we can say that then there's 5 terms. That would be positive. All right, so that's it for the first lesson on this. So exercises 8A and 8B, those questions that are on the work plan to do with this particular exercise. So if you have any questions, make sure you ask and get help with them.